Everyone, welcome back to the Newcastle United Women's podcast. I've got Dave with me from Noble Gymmers, and of course I've got Josh, our best friend from across the pond. We're going to be talking about the change of direction of Newcastle United Women since Claire Ditchburn had the temporary role for a few games, and then Tanya's come in. So get your comments coming if you're watching live or if you're watching the rerun, and we're going to dissect the last 7 games or so. So I'm going to start off straight away with you, Dave, because you were down Ipswich when Claire got the role. How was the mood, first of all, when it wasn't Becky, it was Claire that was in the dugout?
Just the same. There was like no difference from anybody. There was nobody. I don't know how to put it. There was just the same as what it always is. There was no down. There was no up. It was a game. Let's get on with it. I think by then people accepted that Claire was there and Becky had gone. So it was just a point of we just go with it now. We move with it. It's done. It's finished. Why drag over cold?
Yeah, I mean it was international break, wasn't it? If you remember, and obviously we were all shocked by the news. And Claire had temporary charge of Peter Ramage coming in, and this was the lineup that she went with, a very comfortable 4-1 win. Dave, did you notice anything different, or was just the opposition was we would have beaten them regardless who was in charge?
My initial thing was, I do think that Becky would have beaten this team regardless. No disrespect to Ipswich, but they were now clever. You could tell they'd just been promoted and struggled because there was nothing in them really that was. The only thing I saw that was different from what Becky would do to what Claire would do, which I thought was good, was she made the substitutes at the right time and the right people. Sometimes Becky can be a little bit hesitant, or she can make her own. I know they all can anyway, but sometimes she could be a little bit hesitant with substitutions, and by then the game's gone. Claire seemed to be very quick at it, especially in the midfield. We started to lag a little bit in the second half of the midfield. And Claire was very, very quick to reintroduce new legs in the midfield, and it helped us push that a little bit further. But the rest didn't say there was any different. The team was the same as what Becky had. There was no other difference in there that you could see, really. I was just really impressed with the substitutions she made.
Yeah, and obviously we had a few different scorers. Shania Hale's getting a couple there, Molly Pike and Emily Murphy coming off the bench and scoring as well. And Josh, would you say that was a statement win?
I think it was two. Sorry.
Josh, would you say that was a statement win?
Josh.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was always going to be a tough act to follow with how much that Becky was loved, and I think will remain to be loved. But it's interesting to hear, the mood on the ground, as Dave was stating, it was kind of just another day at the office, if you will. But yeah, I think it's always important, especially like we said, the perception going into that game was even Becky would probably have won that game. So I think that probably gave a little bit more pressure on Claire in that moment, because if you drop points there, it maybe would have felt like, oh, maybe this was a bad timing, even if it still made sense in the big picture. Because I think that was probably the initial concern was the timing the appropriate timing?
Yeah, look, and obviously
the 3 games that came up, I do think Becky would have won them anyway.
Yeah, we were.
You know what I mean? Back to Sunderland, Durham, I think when Becky got released, my first reaction was, I wish Becky had the next 3 games, because the games that she had at the beginning were hard games. They're the games that you would expect to maybe get a draw or a. I mean, to be fair, we didn't really play that badly under Becky. It was just, I think, results, wasn't it? At the end of the day, she had a lot more draws. But we were playing what our class as the top 4 teams in the league anyway. We had a hard start the season, I think.
Small margins, isn't it? That could win the game.
Yeah, very, very small.
Dave, we've talked off camera that we both think that Becky would have won that, and then you're leading into the 2 big derbies, which leaves us nicely onto. Obviously, it's a fantastic start for Claire, 4-1 win. Again, I'm going to come back to you because obviously it's another game that clashed, which does me head in, and it was away to down Durham. And how did you see this one then? It was a 1-1 draw.
It was difficult. Very, very, very difficult. Really, really difficult. Durham are a physical side, and they went out being physical. I don't think Durham went out to win that game. I think Durham went out there to stop us from winning the game. There was a lot of hard clutches in that game. I mean, what'd you call her? Alicia Body went down the first half, and we're all sending our wishes because she don't just come back from a knee injury. That she had a knee injury again, but obviously she carried on. Durham, they gave nothing, and the second half, Lee, we absolutely battered them. We absolutely overran them the second half. How that game finished a draw, I don't know. But the second half, we were totally dominant. But my view for Durham was they didn't go out in that game to win it. They went out to not lose it. And they were very happy on taking legs, arms, shirts, fists, everything. They were a really, really physical side that day. And it was well for the lasses to keep their heads and actually play the game, which is good to see because it would have been easy. It would have been easy for a couple of yellow red cards to be shown that game. To be Durham are a really bad side, but we should have won that game. That to me was 2 points lost because we totally dominated the second half. Absolutely random second half.
Yeah, Josh, you can see the stats, don't they? It's kind of like 60-40% possession. We've had almost double the shots, a hell of a lot more on target, more than double. Dave was saying, obviously...
It was more the second half, Lee.
Aye.
First half, it was quite evens. But the second half was just unreal from our lot. We absolutely pushed, and just couldn't get the ball in the net for whatever reason. But they've got that American goalkeeper, haven't they?
Shepherd, yeah, on your screen there. She's the player of the match, 8.1, according to a flash score. So
yeah, she was good. Some of the saves she pulled out that second half, they were unreal.
Molly Lambert was good as well.
But then there was misses from the likes of Beth Lumsden on a volley from a corner that she would have put in usually with her eyes shut, and she totally skied. Well, I didn't sky it, but she air kicked it. It was just little things, it was worrying. But we should have won that game, but we come away with a draw with a difficult physical Durham side.
It's great to see Molly Pike score there as well. Yeah, Josh, obviously looking at the stat there, it does look a little bit one-sided, but, history, the last 12, 18 months, Newcastle have suffered, surprisingly, 2 defeats against Durham, and obviously they were given it large, especially up at Kingston Park. But was there signs for you, Josh, that, there's a little bit of tweaks that Becky may have missed that Claire's picked up on?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're seeing better reactions at this point, and kind of like Dave mentioned in the Ipswich game, I think you're seeing more timely responses. I mean, it's kind of fitting not to go into the men's woes, but that's the biggest complaint is the time in which we react and do that in-game management. But I think one of the biggest things I just took away from this, and then also after the next week following the Sunderland derby, is I think there's a very interesting dynamic. Last year when we came up, we talked about having the 2 Northeast derbies, but then there was a little bit of that element of is Durham a little bit forced? Because there's no historical, last year, correct me if I'm wrong, that would have been the beginning of it. There's obviously no men's team counterpart. And I don't believe prior to last season, the women had ever encountered each other. So it was kind of like this almost forced rivalry. But the one thing I would say with it is you can tell how much it means to Durham. I'm not saying it doesn't mean anything to us, but what I'm saying is they come into this game very determined. And I think going forward in the women's game, that might actually, and this might be slander, but I think that might be the derby we need to start worrying about a little bit more than Sunderland.
Yeah, I get the sense that it means more to Durham than it does to Newcastle, because obviously we know both men and women, and obviously the derbies with the Mackhams, of course. We are live on Twitch. We're live on YouTube. Get your comments coming in. We've got Joe and we've got Dale in there as well. If you want to ask any of the lads any questions, or you want to have your say on the change of management or the results or form or players, whatever you'd like to discuss, smash the like button, everyone. Get your opinions on the season so far in the comments. And Dale, good evening, Jen. Sorry, Dale could not join us. He's had technical issues. He's not sorted his audio out. Settings on, haven't you, Dale? That's why he's not with us. But obviously, the derby, you kind of touched upon it as well. Back at St James's Park against the Mackhams. Obviously, we've got a good record against them in women's football anyway. We'll not talk about the men. But any nerves going into it, Dave?
No.
Because we were talking it, if Claire wins this.
To be fair, yesterday I did have a little bit of, not nerves, but a little bit of like wariness. Both teams hadn't been playing well up to that point, and it was just all based on certain things being in. The only thing I took in our favour that game was that we were at home. Because up to that point, both teams, both Sunderland and us, weren't playing well in the league. We were kind of grinding out points here and there, a little bit of draws, a little bit of loses. So no team was in form, and no team was scoring a lot, and both teams would lose a lot of goals. So my only plus for that game was that we were at home. I think if we'd have been at Stadium of Light, I think I would have been nervous. But because we're at St James's Park and we knew the crowd that was going to come in, we knew it would help the lasses to push them over, which it did. And that was my only plus for that game, was that we were at home at St James's. Because it was hard to predict, Lee, because both teams weren't playing well at that point. And there was a lot. Sunderland weren't doing well in the league. We weren't doing well in the league. It was just a bit of 50-50 who came out top. And the reason we were at home, I think, gave us the edge.
Josh, there was a lot of talk, wasn't there? If Claire could win this game, that's 7 points from the opening 3. We were all speculating amongst ourselves, could she keep the job a little bit longer? Would she get to the January transfer window? Would they say have it to the end of the season? She's building up her own portfolios like blooming hell. If she wins this, that's 7 points from 3 games.
Yeah, no, I mean, in the end, she didn't really put a foot wrong. She did herself proud. I think she can't complain. I know a lot of us were talking in the background. One of the common jokes is apparently she's not the biggest fan of all the press side of it and the non day-to-day and coaching, which we can understand. Yeah, no, I mean, when you win a derby, that means something, contrary to probably a little bit what I was just saying a few moments ago about maybe we need to start worrying about that Durham one more. But, it still has that historical precedence, and winning that means something. Obviously, it was a good performance from Emily Murphy with the brace on the day. But yeah, 3-1. My only thing is I will admit that I think as time has gone on, I've been a little bit surprised that the attendances have not continued to steadily climb. That's not really an on-pitch complaint, more of an off-the-pitch complaint. But I am a little bit surprised that I feel like some of our attendances have stagnated on that front, and maybe that's down to a little bit of a stagnation of, again, because like you were saying, Dave, at that moment in time, we still were not per se in good form. And there's a lot of people that, if they're a little bit more nervous, maybe they don't come out.
I think also is that I think the club...
Attendances. The club are performing good for attendances, I think.
So the club... I
don't think it's that. I think it's when the team is playing well, when the team's playing well, it attracts, doesn't it? But when the team's not playing so well, then people don't want to, I feel.
Yeah, and I don't think the club are aggressively pushing the attendances. I think they're just pushing it a little bit. Dave, let's get into the game. A debut for the goalkeeper, which raised a few eyebrows. Obviously, Femke was not in the squad. In come Tamarin. What a debut, by the way.
Yeah, penalty save.
Turning point.
Watch it. I hate penalties in a match. I don't mind the penalties at the end of a game. But the penalties during a match, I can't handle. So I actually sat with my eyes covered, and I had to watch for Lorraine's reaction. So yeah, then I had to watch the replay. But yeah, what a lovely save from the penalty. But yeah, she just showed command. She's a bit like what Grace Donnelly used to be like. You can hear her. She takes command of her box. She orders them about. She tells them where to be. She is better than what we've had. But yeah, she'll go down in history for that penalty save. But she made a really, really good debut that game, I thought. She was very, very confident and very in herself, I think. It's shone, and we like her. We love her.
It's a fantastic debut, wasn't it? It was unreal to say that was a big turning point in the game as well.
It couldn't have been any better.
Yeah, it was a massive
turning point.
It was a fantastic debut, penalty save, and Newcastle went on, of course, to win, obviously 3-1.
I think it's one of the big things we were lacking. When we were talking about small margins, there's a couple of those games, not to pick on Claudia Moan, but, balls just over her head that, like, she wasn't in bad positioning. She just couldn't get her arm there. And I know sometimes that is the little differences in men's and women's football. I know there's some people even out there that argue that women's football should have a different size net.
I totally agree, Josh.
But I think those are the little things that have meant draws when we could have won or losses when we could have drawn in the early parts of the season. And again, it's a shame. I think we all would have loved to see Claudia Moan continue to man or stand in between the pipes for a couple seasons. But I just think maybe being at home and the pressure got to her a little bit. I'm not sure.
Do you know what I think has been kind of helping her? That the back four's been steady. For the last, I would say, 2 seasons, the back four's been switched around and moved around. We've had Charlotte Potts in there with Diana Cooper. Then we've had Charlotte's been out injured. Then we've brought in Charlotte Wardlaw. Then there's been somebody else. And then the fullbacks have been totally different to what they usually are. We all know a goalkeeper's only as good as what the defence is. And she's having now a steady back four. The 4 in front of her, and now the 4 in front of her with Demi Stokes, Aoife Mannion, Diana Cooper, and obviously now Charlotte Wardlaw's gone on the right side, which I've got to say, Tanya has made a really, really good decision there. Because seeing Charlotte out on the right, where she's a right inside, she's playing like she's played all her life. So I think what's helping Tamanan at the moment is she's got a steady back four in front of her. They all know their jobs. They all know where they're supposed to be. They all rely on each other. And I think that's what's helping Tamanan at the moment is she's got a really, really good back four in front of her. They're steady, that they are what they are. Instead of being swap and change and mix around and this one's going to come in, this one, they're not. They're just there. You could pick that 4 every game now. You know what you're going to get.
I think also 3 of that back 4 are very experienced. You look at Mannion.
By far.
You look at Cooper, who scored against Macklin, of course, and obviously Demi Stokes, who's been there, done it. And obviously Charlotte Wardlaw. I think defensively, she's better than Leah Cataldo. And I was criticised last season for saying Cataldo's got a bit of weakness in defence, but Wardlaw's, even if Cataldo's available, I think Wardlaw's your first choice.
I think that Leah is better at 1-to-1. Charlotte's got the legs better than what Leah has, but on a 1-to-1 basis, there's no one beats Leah Cataldo on a 1-to-1 basis. Over the last 2 seasons, on a 1-to-1 where she's had to take out a winger or on her own, she's good at it. But if you overload her, she kind of gets a little bit off track. Where Leah as well, she's good going forward. And I think Charlotte needs to bring that in the game a little bit. Because Charlotte is good at carrying the ball. She's lovely at carrying the ball. But when it comes to crosses and things like that, she's not very good at. Where Leah's the opposite. And I think if Charlotte could, now she's moved into that right. But remember, Charlotte's not playing. She's not really a right fullback. She's a right inside centre back. So she's starting to learn. So maybe she's got scope to get better, probably. No, at that attacking prowess, because she's learning each time. You can see she's getting better each game.
Yeah, I agree. I think she is. I think she's been solid. And obviously, as Josh touched upon, Murphy come off the bench and grabbed a couple and put a cellar boot. Obviously, she's had a bit of criticism as well so far up until this point. Right. Done the world of good. And obviously, Newcastle went on to win 3-1. A lot of questions after the game with Claire in the presser. Do you want the job? Are you going to keep the job? And were you surprised, Josh, by how calm, I'll use, all the answers that she was given? I know everyone's media trained and all that, but she didn't let anything slip. She just said, my job is to help the girls. She didn't come out and say, oh yeah, I'd love to have the job, did she? But do you think she would love it?
I mean, I don't think she wouldn't have liked it. I think it would. You're not in that business if you wouldn't want it. However, I think in the women's game, probably being Newcastle's manager right now, one could even argue that maybe it's the most pressure position. I mean, because again, you look at Becky. Becky had a track record of success, not really that big of a slide. And because of the high, lofty expectations, and also because of the environment of the women's game, not having all the uh, guide rails that men's football have. PIF really want to get us there fast, and so that way it boosts our overall PSR situation. So I don't think anyone would ever want to turn it down, but I can also understand, given what we've said prior, that she's not one for the spotlight and thing like that. I think she makes for a good number two, kind of just like Jason Tyndall. He likes kind of, I think he doesn't mind his every so often in the sun, but I think he more likes to linger in the background with Eddie.
Cool. We've got a couple of chats coming as well. Joe's agreeing with Dave about Wardlow and also about Cataldo, which is great. Keep your comments coming in because we will read them out. And Keith's going to say his highlight this season, men and women, is of course the Derby win over the Mackhams. Terrific atmosphere, a great result, and great to continue the unbeaten run against Sunderland. Remember, smash that like, everybody. So, obviously, news had then broke that week that we had a new manager in charge. And Dave, I'll come to you. Any surprises with the appointment of Tanya coming in?
Who, me?
You're called Dave, aren't you?
I know, but it kind of blotted out a little bit. It kind of like jumped around a little bit, so I don't know whether it was me.
Basically saying with the announcement.
Of course you are. Did you expect Tanya Oxtoby to be approached for the Newcastle job?
Nah.
So that's really a stupid question, isn't it, Lee? Because it just comes straight out of left field. There was no hint, no nothing. It was there, wasn't it? It was just right. She's talking to the club, and that was it. It hit everybody in the bollocks. There's nobody. If they talk honestly, there's nobody within this fan base saw Tanya coming. There's nobody. Nobody. So of course it was a shock, an absolute shock. But by God, what a nice shock!
It is, because if you look,
it shows intent. It absolutely shows intent.
Don't they? Everyone goes.
It shows massive intent by this club that where they want to go. I think Claire, bless her heart, I do think she had a good run at it. But I do still think that Becky would have got them same results. I still think Becky would have got 2 wins and a draw out them games.
Ooh, interesting.
According to what you got asked with Josh was about Claire wanting the job. I don't think she did. Claire's not an in front type of person. I think she's more recluse. She likes the background stuff. She likes to be in the background, having a little bit of nippy, like this and that and the other. She doesn't like to be in the forefront. That's why she doesn't like the press role. Yeah. I am so happy though that Claire's been kept on. Yeah. I think it's a good thing for the club to keep Claire on. Whether that happens till the end of the season, because that could be it as well. She could be just kept on the end of the season and released. I don't know. But it's nice to see Claire kept within the club because of what she did in them 3 games.
Yeah, and obviously Peter Ramage went back to his Lord Core.
Yeah, he's gone back. He's gone back working from home, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's gone back helping Shola, hasn't he, with Y-Scout.
I didn't even know where Peter. I thought Peter Ramage had like disappeared in the woodwork in the 90s. He just seemed to like, hey, I'm Peter Ramage. It was like, where the hell's that come from?
He's helping Shola, isn't he? And then there was.
I know, but it's a name from the 90s, isn't it? Peter Ramage. He's not.
Well,
it's not from now, is it?
And then there was a game that we played. Obviously, this was introduced in front of the crowd, Josh. A game that was kind of in the way a little bit, wasn't it? The Everton game. For me, I think obviously there was a lot of changes. You talked about the goalkeeper there. Claudia Moore had a great chance to impress, and Howell having an error. I just want to talk about the goalkeeper in a minute because you kind of touched upon it, and I wanted to use this as reference. Are you worried about Claudia's future?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's hard for anyone when they go to their childhood club and it maybe doesn't work out. She's still young, and she still has time to rebound. but it's all in her
She's
control.
a Mackham, Josh. She's not a Geordie.
Aye, she's a Mackham.
She's a Mackham. I thought when she came
Geordie is a Mackham, Josh. She's not a
I thought when she
Geordie.
came to Newcastle, the whole thing was bringing her home.
No, she used to be at Newcastle. Then she went out to Sunderland and then came back. But
okay, so it was football allegiances, not
yeah, but she's Mackham.
geographical.
She's Mackham born and bred, Josh.
Okay. Well, now that I've discredited myself to half of the watchers. No, I'm just listen, that changes a little bit, but I still think it's hard. I never thought that she didn't give us her 100%. I personally always liked her. You know, I thought it was a little bit of fun banter that we had taken her from Sunderland and things like that. And so I always wanted the best. But I would still stand by it's all in her control. She's still got time to turn it around. The challenge with being a goalie more than any position is it's all about mental fortitude. I don't think any of us think it's capability. Her first season, she was very resolute for us and she did a good job. So I don't think it's capabilities. I just think it's between the ears.
Yeah, just touch upon the game then, Dave. Look, it was very much a rotated side. We knew that was going to happen. People were given time. But I thought, in particular, when Everton upped the tempo second half, you could just see a little bit of difference of how far Newcastle are to get in that WSL. And then they went on to beat Chelsea, I think, the following week as well. You just see the little signs of the quality in possession.
Yeah, but Everton had to make a lot of changes the second half to make that. I mean, they brought on 2 international players on half time, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
So they had to change their starting 11 to get that. Because their first starting 11, I thought we stood toe to toe with them. I don't think they showed anything different to what we had. They had to change. They had to make substitutions because if you remember, they made 2 on half time. I think they brought the forward on and a midfielder on. And then that's where the game kind of started to touch around and change them. But we had a lot of fringe players on. Plus, It's like you said, Lick, that game it was like a free run. There wasn't anything in it, was it really? It was just one of them ones where we went, we joined, we had a good sing along, we took the mick and we went home on it. It was one of them. But Everton, I thought they had to change their side to improve. They didn't start off well. They had to change to improve. And that shows for us, because if they've got to change their side to improve, then that shows that our fringe players are quite good. Because if they can stand toe to toe with Everton in the WSL with the team that they had out, then that's good for us, I think.
Yeah, Bethel Lumpton obviously scored our goal, and obviously Newcastle went down 3-1. But Josh, what's your favourite subway?
Yeah, the goal took off us. Remember the scoreboard at the beginning of the game? We were already winning 1-0 before the kickoff.
Josh, what's your favourite subway?
My favourite subway?
Yeah.
It's a Subway Cup, Josh.
He looks confused, doesn't he? It's a Subway Cup.
Okay. You mean my favorite sub at Subway? Okay.
Not the train.
Well, I thought you were talking about the restaurant, but okay. Anyways, the beauty of American English and English. Okay, my favorite sub at Subway, probably the Italian BMT. Or the spicy Italian.
Dave, what's yours?
Dicky cheese.
We had a good...
Wrestling.
Oh, mine will be just a veggie deluxe. Mine's
yours is just a bread bun.
With tomatoes and a bit of cheese and all that. Let us know in the comments what your favourite Subway is, because that sponsor is, shall we say, not the greatest. We'll move on from that. But obviously, then it was a couple of weeks break. Obviously, Tanya alluded to that she wanted to get to know the players. And then it was back on a weird night, because this messed up your plans, didn't it, Josh, initially? Because the game got moved to Monday night because Gateshead were playing. And obviously you were in the UK, then you were going to Dublin, and obviously I met you out in Germany. Yep. But Dave, I'll come to you on this one. A weird one, wasn't it, on a Monday night, wasn't it? It was just a strange vibe.
Yeah, can you remember the last time we had a night game was Everton at Kingston Park?
Aye. Or Man United away, possibly.
Yeah, but that was away. I'm on about a home game.
Aye.
Yeah, because we had them at the Sports Village, didn't we, where we took over the corner in the cup game. That's the Man United away. But at home, the last one we had was Everton, where we drew the 1-1, if you remember. And we lost our penalties.
We missed
So
all.
it was a weird night. But yeah, it was weird. It was just one of them, though. You just got to go along and do your part, innit?
Yeah, I think it was one of the lowest attendances of the season so far, which is understandable.
Yeah.
It was a gritty
It
one.
was school night, but there was still over 1,000, though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it
still
was.
over 1,000. Everybody's predicting when it was going to be more. There was still over 1,000, so.
Yeah, just the one goal. Jordan Nobbs, who started to pick up a lot of form. I think she won Player of the Month as well.
What a birthday!
Yeah, it was a birthday recently, wasn't it?
On a birthday.
And a quality starting to shine through.
Yeah, that was a birthday league. It was a birthday night.
I remember because the announcement from Mr. Sixmonth. But obviously that's the lineup you can see on your screen. It's starting to be a regular back five, as Dave mentioned a little bit earlier. Lewis Stroll there. But Newcastle got the win. But wasn't it more important, Josh, that we just keep the momentum up and just win the game? Because it wasn't a great spectacle. I don't know if you caught any of the game or not.
I only caught the highlight pack. I was enjoying a lovely Dublin day. Lots of Jameson, lots of Guinness. But anyways, no, I fully agree with what you just said. It was more important, the result, than anything. With Tanya's first game in charge, and Nobbs starting to come a little good. Don't get me wrong. I think we've seen signs of Nobbs in previous games and her leadership. I know Joe and I have been a little bit critical at times, maybe, of bringing in some of those more veteran players. As him and I have talked about, we kind of like those young and up and comers. But anyways, it was more important just to get that win. A good moment on her birthday for Jordan Nobbs to take that and propel us forward.
Yeah, it was a really hard fought win. I do want to talk about Morgan Gautrat a little bit later because she had then at this stage had not been seen for quite a while.
We find it difficult against Southampton.
Say again?
We always find it difficult against Southampton.
Yeah.
The last two seasons we've played Southampton, we've always found it difficult. It's always been like a 1-0 or it's never been a... Even when the last season, remember last season, they were near enough the bottom of the league. We still, both games are 1-0s. They weren't runaways or anything. We find it difficult against Southampton for whatever reason it is. We just do.
They've become our feeder club recently, haven't they? We just start taking players from them.
Right, 3 now. Perfield, what was it? Perfield, Pike, and I can't remember the third one now.
Freya Gregory.
Freya Gregory, innit?
The 3 that we've pinched recently, so anyone who plays well against Newcastle will sign them. But look, it was important that we won.
Money too.
Yeah, it was just an important win for us, and obviously we'll talk about Morgan Gautrat a little bit later because she was missing. Obviously, there was rumours going around. Where's the goalkeeper, Femke, obviously, and where's Georgia Fox and so on. But we'll talk about them towards the end because it does free up a little bit of space with Newcastle players coming in. So that's where we'll end it a little bit later. But important win. And Josh, then it was on to Liverpool Feds in the FA Cup, which clashed with the men again. And you had the honour of going to this one, didn't you?
I did. I was very, very relieved that it worked out and I got to be there. It was also very surreal that average Joe like me, no pun intended, but was in press access. That was just really cool for me.
In the warm seats.
Huh?
In the warm seats.
Yeah, it was nice to be, especially at the end of the trip after all the travel. And it was a little nice to, when I wanted to duck and cover, I could get a couple minutes in the warm. But it wasn't too cold that day, actually. But anyways, yeah, it was a good performance. I think I mentioned it in our match reaction. It was a little bit of, for me, and you guys can probably speak to it a lot more, but it was a little bit of a full circle moment for me in my fandom, because I remember one of the first big moments for me following the Lasses was like 3-4 seasons ago when we had that top of the table clash against Liverpool Feds, and Liverpool Feds, unfortunately, just barely beat us to getting promoted that season. And it just kind of was a full circle moment to now see us like just absolutely miles ahead of them, because to say that Liverpool Feds parked the bus, I mean, I think they concrete barricaded the bus or whatever would be more. But I mean, it was just so weird to watch us just absolutely run circles around them.
Yeah, we've got a lot of history with Liverpool Feds down the years up at Drew Park.
Last time we played the Feds was 2 years ago in the league when they got promoted. There's only one player out that started 11 that's still at the team now that started that game.
Potsy.
Charlotte Potts. That's it. All the rest of the 11 that was there that day are gone. Not here anymore.
Yeah, it shows you how fast and ins and outs, which we'll talk
That's
about.
within 2 years. That's within 2 years.
Before nearly expected. Look, it was a nice tie for Newcastle. It's at home. You're up against low opposition. You think,
I like what Joe said there. They built a moat around the bus too. Yeah.
Well, actually, we'll have a look at the chat as well, because the best thing about Tanya Oxtoby, excuse me, as far as I'm concerned, is dropping lifting. She made many mistakes, did not inspire confidence. I feel sorry for Mon, but Tamlin seems much better. We are going to come back to that because a little bit of a story behind that. So we'll park that for the time being, but do keep your comments in. Joe's just everywhere in the chat, which is lovely. Winnie said, agree, we're going to sign 2 or 3 new players in this window. We're going to come to that very, very shortly. We're nearly at the last game. And obviously you can have your discussion on there, who's in and out, and see a lot of Joe's comments there. But going back to that 4-0 win, Dave, it was comfortable and all eyes were on who would Newcastle get next in the FA Cup. It's a WSL side next, but granted, they're struggling. They've changed. Well, they've got rid of the manager, but
we'll beat West Ham.
You reckon we will?
Yeah.
And how important is it for Newcastle to
go
and beat a
WSL? Why should we beat West Ham? West Ham are now clever. So why shouldn't we not beat West Ham at home? But it's a home tie. Yet again, I think if we did West Ham, I think maybe, but it's a home tie.
But we haven't beaten a WSL.
I'm confident against West Ham. To be honest with you, when it came on Man City, because we were right there in the draw, weren't we? And I thought, watch this. There was Man City left. There was us, and there was West Ham, and I can't remember who else. And I thought, watch this, Man City away, which I did want because I'd like to go down there and have a look. But I'm confident against West Ham.
Don't want to wait.
I'm confident against West Ham.
Don't want to wait. We win the pub, actually, me, Josh, and Joe, weren't we? Dale, watching that. West Ham at home, which was great. Home tie. Obviously, we've not beaten the WSL side. What a great opportunity. We've been close with Everton and Man City earlier this season. But do you reckon we can,
Why
Josh?
can't we beat West Ham?
Well, Josh will answer that. Can we?
Of course we can. I think it's time to get that Premier League or Women's Super League scalp, I should say. Not Premier League. I think it's time we get that scalp and the monkey off our chest. As Dave had been alluding to prior, I think we've put in a lot of solid performances against Super League teams in the past. I think every single one you've seen character and growth. I think the very first one that I remember in this kind of period of time was against Man United 2-3 seasons ago, where they absolutely wiped the floor with us. However, our fans outclassed and outsung them. And I think that was only a sign of things to come for many of them. I think that's part of why you see players like Mannion and Demi Stokes and so on and so forth willing to take a step down and come to us. So please, keep that up for all you got locals over there. But yeah, I think absolutely West Ham can be the first scalp. I think really the only thing they've got in their favor, besides the obvious of being in the league above us, is that potential for a new manager bounce. But who knows?
Yeah, you mentioned Man U, a 5-3 as well. That was a hell of a game as well last season. Scored
every WSL team we've came across, we've given them a run. We haven't. Wasn't it 2 years ago versus
Everton? Was it 2 years ago versus Everton where we absolutely wiped the floor with them the first half? They had to bring on the starters, and they salvaged a draw, and we lost in the shootout or something because
it was the night game we're on about before, Josh.
Yeah,
that was the night game we're on about before. Look at Man City. Man City came up here this season when Becky was still in charge. We drew a 3-3. We came back from a 3-1 down. Why can't we beat West Ham?
Exactly. Why can't we? So,
Why can't we?
is there any, just before we move on to Portsmouth, was there anyone from that, I'll throw it open to both of you, was any fringe players that impressed enough that you think she could start a few games?
I haven't seen enough. What I do like is that she's keeping Freeman on the bench.
Yeah,
Freeman must be really impressed now. But Freeman's in that, she's in that Deadwood area, isn't she? She's too old for the under 18s and she's too young for the under 21s. So she's in that Driftwood area at the moment. So I like seeing Freeman on the bench, but I don't think Tanya's known, isn't she, for youth development, for bringing through young'uns. It'd be nice to see what happens the next couple of months, what she does bring through. But what I do like to see is that when we had that cup game against Everton, there was 3 development players on the bench then. Remember Ava Chapman? There was Sanderson was on there. If there was a Ferguson was there as well. But Freeman's been there the last 3 games, and she's got on as well. So to say about the fringe players or young'uns, we don't know yet, because I don't think she kind of used them yet to say yes or no.
Yeah, I think the back 5 are pretty much done for me, and then you might rotate 1 or 2 midfielders. Obviously, we'll talk about Emma Kelly. We haven't really talked about her injury. She's been set back as well, which was a bit of a devastating blow. That was literally when she came on against the Mackham, so that's a bit of a squad blow, and she could be out for some time. Yeah, Leah Cataldo's going to be ruled out. We found that out just before the Portsmouth game, so a few injuries. We're going to come back to the squad in a minute, but Christmas time, all the way down the other end of the country, Portsmouth, finally away game I could get to without any clashing, because I don't want to talk about the Mackhams' defeat with the men, because that was on the same day last week against the Liverpool Feds, wasn't it? But obviously Portsmouth away, the last one before the break. Got a good record down Wesley Park. Absolute nightmare to get to. And it took us forever to get home. I was ill as fuck. Took us about 12 hours to get home. But
yeah, Dave, but you went via the Ulis first, though.
Say again?
You went up inside the country and went through all the Westlife parks you could fucking find.
Oh,
because you're poorly. You went runding around the fucking Bear Grylls again like you usually do.
That guy right there, made me ill in Germany. Him.
Didn't know such thing.
But nah, do you know what it is? It's probably when I was in Germany, people were just smoking in front of us, and I was like, that's probably that. But Portsmouth,
and the lack of vegetables.
Yeah.
Well, it is.
I couldn't even walk. In Germany. Josh will vouch for that. I was in agony. Portsmouth away.
Stay tuned for that travel vlog. We got some funny vids of Lee taking a few breaks.
Yeah, just a few. Portsmouth away then. You know, you're up against a side that's struggling, Dave. Would you say this was a must-win game?
Yeah, no. The only bad thing I got out of that game was that we lost the clean sheet.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a must-win. I do think there's enough games left of the season, because we're only halfway through now, aren't we?
Yeah, this was a hard.
So to say, is it a must-win? I don't think it was. It was just nice to get a result. But I took the clean sheet. That was what I was more devastated about, because it'd be nice to keep the clean sheet run going.
Yeah, and a great goal again, Jordan Nobbs scoring, and she had a big part in the second goal as well, with the own goal. I thought Beth Lumsden was decent as well. Obviously, they scored a good counter-attacking goal, but Savenius gave the ball away, which she did apologise to the away fans afterwards as well. But, you know, looking at that run of form, though, it was important that, again, for me, it was just win the game. But if you look at it now then, Josh, you've seen Claire Ditchburn have a good run of form in the league. You've seen Tanya come in like it's duck to water. Everything's looking rosy, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll be the first to say it's funny, you know, often in the men's atmosphere, I get labeled a happy clapper, but in the women's,
the last few days,
yeah, but in the women's sphere, you can ask Dale, you can ask Joe. I've been talking a lot with them. You know, I was kind of saying, not that I wanted to see Becky gone, but I thought it was already too late, because we were almost having to leave ourselves with perfection to kind of dig ourselves out of the hole we were in. But we've done it so far, and obviously with every passing week, the task becomes much easier and momentum just continues to build. It was nice in this game to have a little bit of the rub of the green, and just have that moment, because I think we fully deserved to win that game. It was really just a fluky moment that happens sometimes with that Una Sevenius mispass, and just not the right amount of weight on the pass there. So it was nice to have a little bit of the rub of the green for once, because it felt like a lot of times this season the rub of the green has gone against us. The only thing that stinks is that their captain's first name doesn't start with an N, because then it could have been N Bull for own goal for No Bull Jimmers. But unfortunately, we didn't have that.
I like how you got that in. You've been waiting for that, haven't you?
I've been waiting all show for that one. No Bull Jimmers.
Please subscribe. Northern Shark beating West Ham would be cool, but the Leicester should be focused on promotion. I agree, but it's a nice
Promotion's not there yet.
That's a nice distraction. And I wonder what's happened with Morgan Gortrash. She seems to have disappeared. Funny you should mention that. That's the next topic. I don't even think it's just the Geordie spine. The spine goes, you're only as strong as your weakest links is, Joe. Portsmouth are another good comparison team, given they came up the same season with a similar record. I think we only beat them 2-1 the FA Cup in that promotion season. And beating West Ham could be the promotion match. So, yeah, it's a big show. And I think as in momentum, I think Joe means on that. So, a great win. Sending everybody home who made the long trip doing a Portsmouth. There was a lot of people that got trains down there. A couple of people flew down there. Dave spent with family. I went with the dogs. Fair play to everyone who went there. Let's talk about... actually, I'll bring up the league table for you whilst we're chatting. But Dave, did you expect Newcastle to be this high after Becky had left? Because I'll be honest, I didn't.
Really?
Nah, I didn't expect Newcastle to be joint third after Becky gone.
Me, if you look before Becky went, the league was so tight to start with. It's like a bit like the men's league, isn't it? A win, you go top. You lose, you go bottom. There's not a lot of points difference between the teams anywhere. So all you needed was a good run. So to say, would we be this high? I think we would have, because we had the difficult games over with. The next games coming up were all winnable. If you look at it, the Ipswich game is winnable. The Interim game is winnable. The Sunderland game is winnable. So I do think we could have been here, even if Becky had been here, because games on the table were winnable. The wins before that weren't. So I do think we could have been here. I do think we could have been here.
Yeah. Absolutely incredible run of form.
I'm fully with you, Lee. I did not see this coming, as I was alluding to. I was quite pessimistic. I didn't think we were like worrying about anything relegation, but I just felt it was going to be a middle of the road season, and I just thought we were going to miss that opportunity this season with the extra spots to go up.
Josh.
Yep.
Josh. Why did you think we're going to be a middle of the road season? What gave you that idea?
I just didn't feel like we looked like we were clicking. Nothing looked awful, but nothing looked cohesive. Our midfield felt very sloppy. It felt like we couldn't really... It reminded me a lot of ways like the men's. It just felt like we'd get to the final third and then there was nothing there. And it's felt like that to me for kind of about a season where where I felt like, those first couple of years we were just so lethal in the final third. Someone was going to pop up with a goal, and it just felt like we never could string enough passes. We'd have moments where we'd look quality. So it was more of just, I felt like combination of the injuries and everything. I thought maybe it was going to be hard to get everything going. And I thought losing Becky was maybe going to be more on the mental side. You guys are obviously in it day in and day out. And it sounds like maybe there was some more stuff simmering behind the scenes that maybe made it not as controversial as, for me, it felt from the outside looking in. Maybe there were a couple players that had unfortunately rubbed the wrong way. But I thought she was very loved in the locker room, and I was afraid it might have been a thing where the ambition of the club was going to clash with kind of the humanity of this lady's given so much to us. Yeah, she's a little underperforming, but have some heart and just give her some time. That was, I think, where my fear came from.
I didn't expect the bounce to be this good. I thought we would naturally improve, and I just the way that we've won, what Claire picked up 7 points from 3 games, and then Tanya's gone on to win 2 league games. So the run of form since, and look, we all love Becky would do, but we've got to move on from it. I think the upturn, whether you like it or not, we have gone up.
I think the other thing that surprised me, Dave, was I think a big part of why I thought we looked bad was the goalkeeping, and I didn't know what we had in those unknown commodities. Leifting, I think maybe we needed a little bit more patience. She's young. She's prone to make those mistakes. I think there's good bones there, but I didn't know what we had in Tamminen. And I think Tamminen's been a big part of me all of a sudden feeling confident in the back line again, because I think the back line was also... I didn't think the back line was poor, but it didn't instill confidence in me. So I think that's why I was also surprised.
See, I'm the other way around. See, I thought our back line's been absolutely brilliant this year. I think our back four this year has been the position that we've been the best. Our midfield's been the weak point in my eyes. The beginning of the season, the weak point for me has been the midfield. We just seemed a little bit weak, a little bit dull in the midfield. And attacking wise, no, we haven't got anything. If you think about it, how many goals have we scored in the league now? It's been the odd 1, maybe 2. I'm not saying anything else, but how many's Hales got this year? We're looking more now for midfields and things out to chip in for goals than what we are Hales. Our defence, for me, has been the pick of the lot. I think our defence has been very strong this year. We've been let down, I do agree, Josh, by the goalkeeper situation. I do think the goalkeeper's been a bit of a weak point. We were there when the Pujolas made a debut against Birmingham, and she looked absolutely out of water.
Yeah, I felt so bad for her, but you couldn't have had a worse start.
I think I saw a lot of progression in this side from the beginning of the season. Each game we got better. We progressed a little bit more, getting better with certain things. If you think about this time last year, in the beginning of last season, we had exactly the same situation. We started off very, very weird and very, very weak. And then as the season got on, we got stronger. And it's been the same this season as well. We seem to have started off where we don't know our arm from our elbow. Then all of a sudden, we're now starting to pull results together. So, yeah, I think it's just been the same old. I think we would have been where we are even if Becky had been here. Because the games that we had after she left are winnable in my eyes.
I think Lorraine's been spotted in the background. I think Joe's picked that up. Hi, Lorraine. Must have walked past. Get the new manager in prior to an easy run and a positive start. Joe. Northern Shark says Tanya seems to have done it so calmly too. She seems quite relaxed in the dugout. And then Wardlaw has been brilliant. Matt in the chat. Good to see you, Matt. Brilliant this season, and defensively we've done okay. It's the attacking where we've struggled, and goal difference is key with the league as tight as it is. Matt has done an article for us. I haven't forgotten about that. I'm going to share that after the stream, so keep an eye out for that. Then Winnie's gone out and said the back four in the first 6 matches was full of mistakes. A huge improvement in the last 6 matches. The attack is also getting better. So just before we talk about a few of the players, with that league table, just one more time, I'll bring it up again. I think Charlton are going to run away with it. They're unbeaten. I think Charlton are going to go up. And then obviously you've got the second place, which we're only 3 points behind. And we're joined third, which will be the playoff. I'm going to put you both on the spot. Dave, where we're finishing?
5th.
You think we're going to drop down to 5th?
Yeah.
You're all positive before, man. What's wrong?
I don't want us promoted yet, Lee. I don't think it's right for us to be promoted. Yes, it'd be nice, don't get me wrong. And we'll have parties and everything else, but I don't think this team is ready for promotion yet. I don't want this team to be a yo-yo team like Charlton is. No, they get promoted, then they get relegated, then they get promoted. And this team, as a team at the moment, isn't strong enough yet. I'd like another couple of years in where we are to build the team up and then get promoted when the time is right, that we can survive in the WSL. I think if we get promoted this season, I don't think we will survive next year. We'll be like Charlton, will come down and come back up.
See, I want to go up. I think it's important that we're
I would
with.
like to see it, Lee. I'm
With the
not
opportunity-
like being negative. I'd love to see them get promoted, but I just don't want it to be where it's like like what it is in the Premiership, where the 3 come up, the 3 go down.
Do you not think
I don't want it to be like that?
Yes, because we've got a bigger budget than even 3/4 of the WSL 1 teams.
I know, but if you still think we're still not pulling results against the big WSL teams, are we? I mean, Liverpool spanked our ass last year. Fucking did not pull our britches down and smacked us right fucking solid. So I don't think this team's ready yet. I'd like to see it play. And then Everton got stronger because they changed the side to the better side. Manchester City, yes, we had a 3-3 and it was absolutely fantastic, but they still changed the team in the second half to gain that. No, we're not there yet, Lee.
We're not there yet, but if we do get there, Josh, where do you see it, Josh? Because this season is the best opportunity to go up with possible 3. If Newcastle were to get in that top 3, which is very much on the cards now, you imagine that will strengthen in January. I'm going to put you on the spot where we're finishing.
So yeah, your original question, where are we finishing? I think we're going to finish exactly where we are.
Third, fourth.
I think we're going to go 4. Maybe we can sneak 3rd, because I think, as I alluded to, the beginning was worse than I think what we really were. I think we're riding a little hot right now too. I hope we can ride that wave. Because as I go into the second part, I don't have the same concerns as Dave for one reason. There's no PSR. And some of the things that I've already alluded to, I think we can. This league allows yourself to buy success, I think. Once we're there, I'm not worried about us falling, because I think we can buy it. And I think we'll have the draw, because we've already shown that our fans will out-attend, out all that. Man, he must really not agree with me. I can't wait to hear his rebuttal. But I think many players are going to want to come to Newcastle if we get promoted. And I think I would have been more concerned if, say, we got promoted last year. And my reason being was, last year we still had a lot of that Geordie bones, or we still had that foundation of the team that's got us here. Almost all of that's gone now. And there's an element, to an extent, that we already are a hodgepodge of mercenaries that have bought into what this club is. And that would initially be my fear when you talk about buying success. But why I'm saying I feel contrary to that now is, I think we've started to do that. And if we got promoted this season off of kind of buying that success and buying those players, then I think we could sustain that. I don't think we would have a great season next year in the WSL, but I think we would survive relegation, because, correct me if I'm wrong, next season it goes back to only one team's going down.
Yeah.
I don't think we would be the worst team in the WSL.
Agree. I don't think we'll finish bottom. Go on, Dave. You want to bounce back to that, don't you?
I can't even see you.
You can't even see you. We can see you on screen. You're on screen still.
I've got three black rectangles. That's it.
No, you had your head in your hands. We're nearly finishing up.
Yeah.
I want to talk about players. Obviously, it's been mentioned in the live chat as well, with MK and Morgan as well. So with MK, we believe, and this is not official by the club, but Dave talks to people, I talk to people, Joe talks to people, Josh talks to people. Look, MK, we believe, has headed back. Is he talking to himself?
I'm reading the comments.
I'll read them out then. We'll get back to it. Matt says, I agree with Dave of not being ready. And yeah, we could be able to massively strengthen, but there could be a lot of changes, as we found out last couple of seasons. The amount of changes hampers the early part of the season. Joseph's gone on to say, if we bring in a new lower level WSL players, I could say is staying up, or going up rather. And when he says, how many do we need to sign this window? 2 or 3 class players will make the difference, which leads me nicely on to our very final topic of this evening. So FMK's departed. We believe that's not official, but it's not been seen for quite a while. People talk. We believe that Georgia Fox has also gone back to Chelsea. So there's 2 loan spaces that have gone. I'm not massively surprised by those two. I think Femke has struggled and Georgia's just not getting any game time. So we'll wait for the official confirmation of the club, but that's what we expect. Obviously, Leah Cataldo's injured for the rest of the season, so we don't need to register her in the 25 in the 25 women's squad. And we also believe that Morgan Gautrat has now left the club. She has not played for quite a while. So there's definitely 4 spaces. There could be more if the likes of Claudia Moan leaves. But Dave, I'm going to come to you. Guaranteed there's 4 spaces now. Is there any way you would like to see strengthen?
Forward.
An out-and-out striker?
Strikers. We need strikers to push Hales. I think Hales has got a little bit too complacent at the moment. We're not getting the best out of Hales at the moment, which is horrible to see, because I think she's getting a little bit too complacent. She knows there's nobody to take her spot. So I'd like to bring in 2 strikers. Me and Lorraine were talking today as we went to the gym. I'd like to see 2 strikers come in. Someone to push Hales, where we're going to get the best out of Hales again. Every other position on the pitch, we have competition. We have people to push the people in that starting 11. For some reason, Tanya likes to play Una as a winger instead of a forward, which she's brought in for. That's her choice. I can't say anything different. But apart from Hales, we don't have another recognised number 9. So I think she's got a little bit complacent, and I think she's got a little bit comfortable in that spot. So we're not seeing the best from her. So I would like to see at least 2 new strikers come in.
Josh?
I agree with the striker. I think I want to see someone for like the right center back. I'm personally not sold on Oifi Mannion there. She's been better in recent, but that's been my main thing.
You're upsetting him, then, aren't you?
I am, but I think she's better served in the midfield where she's historically played.
Well, you mentioned obviously Potty's not being seen. It seems that, hopefully she is back soon for competition. I think a right back with Cataldo being out, Wardo is impressive, but I think a bit of competition with Georgia going back helps.
Oh, and just injury protection. Heaven forbid Wardlaw goes down. You need someone for there. So I would say someone maybe who could play those 2 positions. Just give some more.
Perfield's played there where Wardlaw has been in, and she's done okay.
Yeah, but she's predominantly left-footed, though, isn't she?
It doesn't matter if she can still play the right fullback. Like if Wardlow's out, she's proven she could play there. She could do all right. So because she came on, she played for the Liverpool Feds game, and she was actually a good player. So we do have cover for the right back. Obviously, it's not a right back as such. But look at the boys' team. The main player, Lewis Miley, is a right back. So, but Perfield, when she's come on, she's played that right back position. She's done okay. So we do have cover. We do have cover.
I think we need a winger. I think Beth is brilliant, technical, brilliant. Freya Gregory. Murphy's not an out-and-out winger. Savenia's
not a winger. She's a 10.
I know, but I think we need wingers. I think we need a bit of competition. I think when we didn't renew Poppy in the summer, I was thinking, we could have.
So you don't a striker, Lee?
Well, it's interesting that because if we sign a winger, could you not put Savenius as competition again?
I know, but I'd rather see an out-and-out striker come in.
Yeah, I'm fully with you there, Dave, because for seasons, that was like almost our given for how, those subsequent promotions, our striker was always in the hat for the Golden Boot. And you just knew they were going to put it away. And
if you think last year, sorry, Josh, if you think last year we got the best out of Hales because Amy Andrews was biting at her toes. Now that Amy Andrews is not there, Hales is now starting to. I'm not saying she's off her game, but she just seems a little bit. I feel like I said, a little bit complacent. I want to see an out-and-out striker come in, someone that's going to push her, someone that's going to, not a winger that can play there. I want to see a striker. I want to see a number 9 come in that's going to push Hales, so we get the best out of Hales again.
What do you do with Murphy then?
She's a 10.
So would you play?
I think her and.
What do you do?
Pike got the number 10 role between them.
Yeah, competition for Pike is Murphy. I think another centre midfielders possibly as well, with Emma Kelly being out for a long while now as well.
I don't know, Lee, because we've got quite a few, haven't we, in centre midfield?
True, but can you rely on Lacey Body being fit for the rest of the season?
We've got
Jazz as well. Yeah, she's probably next in line.
I think we're okay centre midfield. If you think about it, there's not going to be a lot done, is there, in the January? You look at a couple of loans and maybe a buy. So to have a big shopping list, you've got to narrow it down to being what you really, really need. What's going to get you to the summer window, innit? Not what's.
I think Tanya.
I think we need a centre midfielder, a winger, a right back, a goalkeeper. That's going too far.
The only thing I would say is that you just talked about, why don't you think, Dave, that we'd go out and buy a lot of players? Because, again, there's nothing stopping us in the women's league.
I know there's not, Josh. The PSR thing, I know it doesn't rule with us. I'm not that thingy with it. But we've proven that when we bring in too many players, it disrupts.
No, 100%. And I'm not going to disagree with you there. I fully agree. That was one of our biggest complaints as we did earlier things this season, is the chemistry was lost by all the new faces. I fully agree with you.
I don't want to be going into business end of season, Josh, the second end of season where it really gets the business going with a brand new 6 or 7 players that haven't been here. I just think we need to sprinkle a little bit of dust in there, just a little bit of pixie dust since it's Christmas, which will then push us that little bit further to get the end of the season. Then we can rebuild in the summer.
I think we need 2 people for the starting 11, and the rest I would envision are people that can be that pixie dust you're talking about to challenge the rest of the players. You know, the people like we brought in last year. So many of the players we brought in last January were ones that were maybe at worst on par with what was already the starting 11 and had the option to maybe improve us. That's why I'm saying, why not try and bring in too many? Because I think the only place really on the starting 11 we absolutely need to is the striker, as we've already talked about. I think the rest is manageable with what we've done. But if you bring in competition for wingers, if you bring in competition for the back line, things like that, or depth, whatever, just like you were saying, we need to bolster this so we can get to the WSL. Because if we've learned one thing this season, PIF is not playing around and they want to go up. So to me, they showed their cards when they fired Becky. And again, hopefully this will be the last reference to her. We love her, but those days are gone. But to me, I think they're going to throw everything at it, as they've already shown they're going to do.
Yeah, we'll read out your chat for the last time. Then I do want to come back to Morgan Go Try. Pixie dust, another phrase that Dave's come out with. Joe will love that. Another creative midfielder, says Matt, alongside a striker, is what he would like to see. And Jordan Nobbs has been a fantastic addition to the club. I do agree, which when he says London City Lionesses have bought 2 teams the last 2 seasons and they were comfortably staying up. Good point. Josh, I'll ask you first, because obviously with you being from that across the water, has Morgan Go Try been a success or a failure?
Neither. And I'm not saying that to stay on the fence. I don't know what there was really ever to gain from it. I mean, could it have gone better? Of course it could have gone better. But I also think there's an element of this kind of played out to what we thought it would have, at least what I thought it was going to be, and probably a big nothing. So to me, I don't think it was necessarily a negative or a bad thing. Again, because of the frame that we don't live in a PSR world in the women's game, so who cares if we waste money? It really doesn't matter.
Second one is, with her being possibly, you could argue, she's the biggest profile that we've ever had in terms of our honours. Can you see another world or former ex-international who's been there, done it, coming in January?
I don't see why not. Again, especially considering, as I've said, I think PIF have made their intentions clear that they want to be in the WSL next season.
Dave, where do you stand with Morgan? Because obviously she started to have a run of form when she was in the side. And
I really like her.
I did as well, but why? You know, with this talk that she's had, she can't play on artificial pitches. There's talk that she had, what did she have when she come back from the States again? Concussion, and it's just, she hasn't played enough, has she?
Yeah, but when she played, she showed what she had. Mm-hmm. We've missed a defensive midfielder for such a long time. I used to like Emma Kelly in there, and then Hannah Greenwood. So when Morgan came in, if you remember, I kept calling the American.
Because you couldn't pronounce her name.
Yeah, because I couldn't pronounce her name. But she kind of gave us something that we didn't have. She's like Lewis Miley from the lads. He's just lovely on the ball. For a defensive midfielder, she's nice on the ball, Lee. She does nothing stupid. She reads the game brilliantly, which you'd expect her to with the credentials she's got. And she does nothing stupid. No, she takes a ball off an attacking player and she just plays a simple little ball out of it, but she's always going forward. Remember when we used to have talks about her, I just praised the hell out of her because I thought she was exactly what this club needed, was a lovely little defensive midfielder, because I don't think we've had that since Hannah Greenwood.
I would have loved to seen her play more often with Jordan Nobbs. That's the only shame that I've got from that, because I think if Newcastle were to extend it, I'm not against it, but where has she been? But obviously January is going to be very busy for both men and women. We're going to wrap up here. The next week we are going to be talking about who's performed, scoring the players, half season review. We'll go through all the players, and it'll be interesting to see some marks, because some of these can be way off, as history tells us. But Dave, thank you very much for popping on. Where can people find you?
In my living room.
No Bull Gymmers.
In my living room.
If you're into, I'll promote it. If you're into your gym, or you want to get fit, or if you want to get big, muscly, and scary like Dave, he's started a YouTube channel.
I'm a teddy bear.
In 2025, I think NFTV massively influenced him. He doesn't want to admit it, but I think we have. And he's on YouTube.
How do you influence me? You're a football channel. I'm a gym channel.
You know, confidence on camera, I'll say. And I think
I just need a kick in the bollocks.
If you want to have a look at No Bull Gymmers, that's N-O Bull, as in the animal, Gymmers, Gymers. Have a little look at Dave's channel. Him and his missus do loads of stuff like reviews and supplements from diet and you name it. Have a little look. And you can find Josh on NFTV. So Josh,
in America.
You can find him in America. Obviously, Josh.
You want to come to Philadelphia?
We still have a couple of videos from Germany to come as well, by the way. Josh's trip and as well.
Joe Kenja's working hard. Just if you want it sooner, tell Joe Kenja in the cat.
All that video that he's editing at the moment, he's working really hard on NFTV.
He is.
Cheers, Joe. Right, we'll love you. He's got to kill us for that. Right, love you. We'll be back next week for another podcast.
Bye, Lorraine. Happy New Year.
See you later, Lorraine, and we'll see you very soon.